Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick. Today I'm talking about something I thought I would never do, and that's sell some of my records. There's a bunch of links down below. Make sure you go check them out. There's links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music weekly playlist we put together, and also the Patreon page. Make sure you go check all that out. Of course, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me the old thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. So for a long time, I always said I would never sell any of my records. It was all something that I would pass on to my children once I was gone and let them do with whatever they wanted to do. But over the course of the past year or so, I've been thinking to myself, when is it too many? When do I have too many records? And once I started going through my record collection, I started picking out a bunch of records that, pretty much everything I sold was all just doubles of stuff I already had. And that's kind of what I was looking at was, yes, I love this album, but I've got a couple of different copies of it. Am I really going to be listening to these other copies, or should I just pick one and sell the rest and kind of go on from there? I guess once I hit that 1,000 album mark is kind of when I started thinking about this. And it's like, moving forward, how many records do I really want to keep in my collection? Because it's not a space issue. I've got tons of space down here. I probably have space for, 2,500 albums, really, if I clear out some of my other shelving units. So it's definitely not a space issue that I was really worried about. It was more so the fact that I knew that there was records in my collection that were just going to sit on a shelf and I would never listen to them again. So they'd probably be better off going to somebody that was going to enjoy those albums, going to listen to those albums more often than I was going to, and I could use that money to kind of put towards new and interesting stuff that I'm interested in picking up. So I started going through my record collection. And to be honest, I had to have a really kind of open, honest conversation with myself and really look at albums kind of objectively and say, is this really something that I want to hold on to, and am I going to listen to it in the future? And like I said, I'm pretty sure everything I got rid of, I had other copies of those albums. So there were some instances where I'd have, like for instance, the Metallica albums. I had a couple of different copies. I had like an older pressing of the Black Album. I also had the reissue that came out a few years ago. And then I had the Walmart exclusive also. So I kind of had to think to myself, of those, which one am I going to hold on to? Because I know I'm not going to listen to all three of those different versions. So once I pulled everything out of my collection that I was at least willing to get rid of, then the question became, how much was I willing to accept for these albums? So I went through, this like a long 2-week process that I went through where I just made a list of all the albums that I pulled out of my collection, went through Discogs, kind of figured out what a good value is for those albums, and kind of went from there. That was kind of my jumping off point. And when I looked at the value of the album, I didn't really think of what I could sell this for on Discogs to make money, because I was going to take all these to just one of my local record stores. So I knew I wasn't going to get like a full value for it, because the record store is going to turn around and sell that for a profit. So I had to kind of take that number and kind of dwindle it down, the actual overall value of the albums, to something that I knew I could accept, and also it would be a good number for the record store. And I also made sure I didn't pull things out of my record collection that really would have no value to a record store. Just stuff like, I've got some like Grease soundtracks and things like that I've got multiples of that, or I just don't listen to anymore that I could get rid of, but I know it's going to be harder for a record store to sell. So those kind of things I didn't pull out. I tried to kind of stick to more popular titles that I knew that the record store would be willing to turn around and sell. So I kind of went through. I bought the Queen box set a few years back, so I had all the older Queen albums I knew I could get rid of, because I had those half-speed mastered albums that I knew would really be the only versions of those albums kind of moving forward that I would listen to. I got a bunch of different copies of User Illusion, so I was willing to get rid of those. Some older Green Day pressings that I had in my collection. Also some Fleetwood Mac, Elton John, Eagles, stuff that I knew that the record store could turn around and sell for a decent profit. Even like some Def Leppard, Counting Crows, that's a newer pressing of that Counting Crows album. Some Beatles stuff, some Alice Cooper, some jazz stuff. Just like I said, I tried to get a good collection of stuff that they'd be interested in. As much as I dislike the Sex Pistols, I had a couple of different pressings of Nevermind the Bollocks. I had some, this is all the Metallica stuff. I decided to keep the Metallica Walmart exclusives because all those sound fantastic. So I got some reissued stuff, some older pressings of their albums that I decided to get rid of. Even some Our Lady Peace, that's one of those music on vinyl pressings. Even Linkin Park, that's a newer pressing. Led Zeppelin is older pressings that I knew I could get rid of. Jimi Hendrix. I don't remember what else we got in there. We got some Prince stuff that older pressings, and then the Motley Crue albums, which I bought all the remastered albums when they came out last year, not knowing that the box set was going to come out. I did picking up the box set for a really good price, so I decided I could get rid of those remastered pressings. They all sound fantastic, but they're the same things that are included in that box set that came out this year. But it wasn't a huge portion of my record collection that I got rid of. I want to say it's like around 6% of my records I decided to get rid of. And this might be something I do again in the future, but I kind of wanted to just mainly stick to stuff that I knew I wasn't going to listen to and stuff that I had duplicates of and wasn't going to listen to multiple versions of the same copy. It's something that's it's been kind of hard for me to kind of break away from that. An album like August and Everything After, it's one of my favorite albums of all time. I had 3 pressings of it. But when I got the Analog Productions pressing of it, it sounds absolutely fantastic. It's one of the best sounding albums of my collection. I'm probably not going to listen to those other pressings because I've got the Analog Productions release, so I can get rid of some of those pressings. So that's kind of what I kind of focused on with this. But who knows, in the future I might decide to get rid of even more. It was definitely a weird process. I felt like I was kind of cutting off my arm or selling some of my children. It was, kind of weird to kind of go through and get rid of those albums. But I think I made a good deal in the end. I went to one of my local record stores. They made me a great offer for what I had, and I'm interested to see what they sell them all for. But I guess it's great to know that those albums aren't just going to be taking up space on my shelf anymore. They're actually going to go to somebody that's going to appreciate those albums more, going to listen to them more often, and kind of do what they're supposed to do. Bring joy to somebody and not just kind of sit on a shelf like a collection. But it was definitely something hard for me to do. To finally, like I said before, be honest with myself, look at my record collection and say, is this something I'm really going to listen to? Is this something that, even if I'm only going to spin it, a couple of times every few years, is it worth it, for me to have it sitting on the shelf? Or is it better for somebody else to have that album and enjoy that album maybe a little bit more than I will? But I don't know. It's something I'm interested to see what you guys think about. Make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know if this is something you've done before. I know a lot of people out there pretty regularly kind of call their albums and thin the herd and make room for new and interesting stuff they're looking forward to. But let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me the old thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below, and that's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.